Alright, ladies and gents, so I thought I would do basically the story of this Kawasaki Mean Streak. As you can see, I still have my 500. It's still plated, you know, insured and everything. I don't know if I could ever get rid of this thing, but that's not who we're talking about today. But I do still have my 500. So, this was actually found by my buddy Dan Alpat. He was looking for, not this, but anyway, he went to a dealer and he found an old ST1100 that he liked. I think it was like a 99 or something. Anyway, so he picked up that thing for $1,000, which needed some work. I gave him a hand with it. And then he told me about this thing. And at first I wasn't sure, because like I have no idea, you know, if these things are reliable or whatever. So I was like, I'm not going to buy it on the spot. You know. So anyway, Twisty was like, well, you know, somebody might fucking steal this thing from underneath you. And I was like, yeah, I'm not risking it. If it happens, it happens. So I think I did like 2 days worth of research to see if these bikes had any reliability problems. You know, just stuff like that. And I couldn't find anything serious other than the bevel bearing that's in here. And we'll get to that later. So anyway, I was like, all right, well, I don't see any major reliability issues. The parts are, you know, relatively available. Everybody says the bike rides nice. One thing they did say in the forums that the power was a little lackluster, but I mean, apart from that, everything was good. So anyway, long story short, I go see this thing for the second time, and I was like, you know what, I have to hear it start. Everything looks good so far, I have to hear it start. So he took it outside, started it up, and oh my god, the engine was so smooth. Not a single tick or knock. There is a little like whooshing noise, but I'm guessing that's just the giant timing chains friggin' going around. So the motor sounded absolutely beautiful. And it was cold too, like, you know, full cold start, no ticks, no knocks, no weird noises. Plus the pipes, these Cobra exhausts sound amazing. And again, just look at how clean this thing is. There is not a single speck of rust. It is a little dirty, because I've been riding it. But there's not a single speck of rust on this thing anywhere. Right? Like, so somebody took care of this thing. Every single bolt is clean. So the engine was beautiful. Not a single knock or tick or funny noise. It ran perfectly, idled at 1,000 RPM, exactly where it was supposed to. No misfires, nothing. So I was like, yes, I have to have this thing. So anyway, the reason it was $2,000 is because of this. Got damage on this side, here. The signal's probably scratched. No, this one actually survived. Handle's broken. Mirror's got some damage. So from what I was told, it was an older gentleman. And he basically just couldn't handle the bike anymore. Or maybe the bike was doing weird shit and he dropped it, you know. I'm not going to blame it all on the guy, but this is why she was cheap. The dash was loose, broken, so that's got some JB weld in it. The headlight was also broken, so there's a piece of metal JB welded inside to hold the headlight in. I will show pictures of this, so here's the picture of the dash repair. Give you a second with that, and then I'll show the picture of the headlight repair. So this is all stuff I had to fix, right? This signal's got damage. I don't care, but the signal has damage. The left hand grip was not stock, so the grips were different. I had to buy that grip. Wait, it was this one that was broken. This one wasn't broken, but the ball was like where my thumb is, so I just cut it off. Both the foot pegs were bent. So as you can see, I cut this one, bent it back, and put a steel rod in there, so Not only is it welded back up, but there's also a steel rod in there. This one I was able to just bend back. I just stuck it in something solid and gave her a good reef. So that one's, it's got a little bit of a, you know, wow to it, but it's good enough. I've ridden the bike 200 kilometers already and it feels perfectly fine, so I'm not going to worry about it. Shifter actually managed to get away unscathed. So as far as damage goes, it's all very minor. See, there's a scuff there. I think that's it for this side, just the shock, the tank, and a little bit on the handlebars. I'm guessing the grip got messed up, which is why it was gone. And on this side, we got shock again. Like I said, very minor damage, but it's still damage. The pipes are damaged and melted into the road. Another little spot here. Some melted tarmac. Yeah, that's road. But I mean, overall, this thing was bent. Actually, you can see where the paint chipped off. Right there. I lied, it does actually have there's a tiny bit of rust hiding in there. I'll just hit that with some oil film protection. But I mean, for the most part, this thing is literally rust free for $2,000 with almost no wear on it. Like, yeah, there's a little bit of peg wear there. That's brand new, the rubber on there. Pipes. Like, it's $1,000 just for these pipes. This rack here is like $600. So like the $2,000 I paid is almost made up literally just in this rack and the pipes. Right? Like I bought the pipes in the rack and got the bike with it. So anyway, that's why it was cheap. She's got damage on the tank. And if you look real close, like I showed you, there's damage on the dash, the headlight, signal. But if you're 10, 15 feet away, most of that shit you wouldn't even notice because it's so clean. So that's why I bought it. It's so clean. Somebody obviously kept this thing in the garage and cleaned it fairly regularly because everything is just immaculate on it, apart from the crash damage, obviously. But I mean, even parts that you wouldn't think would be clean. Like, look at the bottom of the frame. This thing's like showroom clean almost. Oh, there's a tiny little speck of rust down there. If you're noticing that, we'll get to that. That's part of the story. But just, like, everything is so clean on this thing. I don't know what that is. Looks like it's just from the road. Like, even in here where it's hard to clean, like, it's spotless. So that was one of the reasons I bought it, is because like I was just looking at like how clean everything is up in here and like under here. So somebody took care of this thing. And it's not as if they didn't ride it, because it's got 36,000 kilometers on it. Right? So it's not as if it's only got 2,000 kilometers on it. Somebody put some miles on this. Like, it's been through a set of tires or two. And it still looks that good. So that was it. And there was a bunch of weird little things too, like the front master cylinder was completely empty, no fluid. Somebody had put the seal in wrong. So I'm guessing when the bike fell over, all the frickin' fluid leaked out. And that's why all the paint's chipping off here. So I'm not too worried about that, whatever. But yeah, a bunch of the clear coat's coming off. So all I had to do was open it and put the seal in properly, so it would actually seal. Clutch was okay, it was low on fluid, but it was relatively fine. Clutch works fine. Again, somebody's been in here once or twice, and it didn't seal properly, so. But yeah, most of it's minor. What else was there? That was it as far as running. So anyway, the one funny part of the story, So I told you the one thing I researched was that bevel bearing. So it turns out that it was actually bad. So as the guy's pushing the bike out back, so I can literally load it on the trailer, I hear like a clunk, 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 clunk. I was like, what the hell is that? It sounds like a bad drive shaft. So anyway, whatever, nothing I can do there, right? So we get the bike home. Ugh. Before it went in the garage, I took it around the block, you know, just gently around the block. Everything rode fine. You couldn't even tell that something was wrong in there. Like, I gave it a little bit of throttle, let off, like, it felt perfectly fine. You would never know. So anyway, I started digging into it, and I'll show some pictures here. The bevel bearing that I pulled out had 3 balls that were actually coming apart, like the chromium stuff was coming off the surface of 3 of the 8 balls or something. It's like 8 or 9. The rest were perfect, just 3 of them. So the only thing I can think of is like a manufacturing defect that would make the balls look like that. So anyway, I could try and show it on camera, but I don't think it'll pick up. Here's the bearing itself. You guys might be able to tell on video. You see how that looks like a moon, where it's all cratery and stuff? Yeah, it's not supposed to look like that. So those are the 3 balls that failed. And as you can see, the rest of them look perfect. And the races look perfect. There is some dirt and shit in there, but they're not pitted up. There's no chromium missing from the surface of the inside or the outside. So there's the inside. Like I said, it is dirty because this thing's been kicking around in my pocket for the past 2 months. But there's no chips, there's no big dents apart from the cut. So yeah, as far as I can tell, it was just a manufacturing defect on 3 of the balls that caused this bearing to fail. And unfortunately, it sent a shit ton of metal through the motor, as they do when these fail. But the only good thing that I lucked out on is these get so bad sometimes, they've literally set bikes on fire. I'm not even kidding, it has happened. These bearings will seize up completely, start spinning in the case, and create enough friction that the bike catches fire. So as soon as I heard the clunk clunk, and you know, when the bearing's in the bike, you can't really see shit from this angle, right? But I could see through the gaps that something wasn't right with a couple of the balls. So I was like, you know, as much as I hate to do it, we're pulling the bearing. So I went through all the effort. I'll show some pictures of pulling the cover, pulling the case. I had to disconnect the front motor mount completely, or no, the rear one. The front one I left in, I had to loosen the bolts and shit and like jack the motor up at all weird angles and push it over. That's another tip if you guys are doing the bevel bearing. It is so tight that you need to remove the oil filter so you can get the motor over far enough to get the case off. So that's what I had to do. I pulled the oil filter. I didn't remove the tank, which thank goodness, because that would have been a bunch of extra work. And literally just shoved the motor over as far as I possibly could. And I was able to pop that case without doing like a lot of extra work. I still had to pull the rear wheel, the drive shaft, and all that freaking bullshit. Which is fine, because I wanted to know the condition of the drive shaft anyway. Apparently the U-joints on these go sometimes, but this one's good, thankfully. So yeah, did all that. Put in a SKF Explorer bearing, which is supposed to be higher quality than this. Not by a lot, it's only like 2,000 pounds more rating than this. But in theory, it's a better bearing, so not only is it in theory a better bearing, it's brand new. So I should at least get 30,000 out of it. Plus, apart from defect, I have no idea why the 3 balls would come apart like that. So You know, if this bearing is manufactured a little better than that one, then it might never go bad. So apart from that, I had to clean the motor out as best I could, pulled out the pre-filter in the bottom, dug all the metal out, and I also took a magnet on a stick. I was very careful to pick a stick that will not let the magnet get stuck in the motor, and dug around there, pulled as much metal as I could out. I even magnetized a couple screwdrivers and stuff so I could just poke around in there and pick up as much metal as possible, pull it all out. And that was about it. We got fresh oil. We have a fresh filter, but it's actually a bigger filter than supposed to be on there. So, I don't know if you can see from this angle. Yeah, you can see how it's kind of pinching the brake line there. It's not actually like tight, but it's so tight that I could barely get it in there without like crushing the freaking brake line. But so yeah, we got a bigger filter, which doesn't really do much other than give you more filter material and probably slightly better flow rates. Oh, but apart from that, it won't do much. I just figured there's more filter to catch the metal chunkies that are left in this poor engine. So I'll show you guys some pictures of the oil filter, which was pretty nasty. There's a lot of gold flake and stuff in that oil filter. And the metal screen and stuff, like, it's not pretty. But like I said, the motor sounded perfect. Like, there was zero damage to the engine at that point. I'm sure a couple chunks have gone through the oil pump, but the oil pressure light goes out basically before the engine even starts. So it gets enough pressure just off the starter to turn off the oil pressure light, which I believe was a minimum of 35 psi or something. So if it can do that on the starter, I think they're good. So this thing is a custom made bracket, which is funny because every bike I see, like pretty much every bike I see anywhere, whether it's in a for sale ad or YouTube, they all have this mount. But mine had it mounted up under here. So anyway, I made this custom mount, and you can see this ugly metal flaking. That is metal from inside the engine. So I wanted to build like a memorial piece as to what the engine had survived. And that's the type of metal chunkies I was pulling out of the engine. So that's basically a memory to the bike of what it went through and survived with minimal engine damage. So that's the story basically, but the guys at the store didn't know about the bevel bearing. I just happened to be lucky and do my research, or I would have been like any other Joe Blow and just bought the bike and start riding it, and it literally would have grenaded that motor. Because all these bearing pieces end up in the oil pan, which is going to do one of two things. It's either going to wreck the oil pump over time because you're sending small chunks of oil through the oil pump, or it's going to block the screen. You're going to starve the engine of oil. Not only that, that bearing could catch fire, like I said. So I was actually really lucky that I did that research. Now, in theory, I shouldn't have to worry about it because it's got a brand new bearing in there. And not only that, this kind of sketch looking wire, don't worry about that, it's just a temperature wire, so even if it shorts out on something, it doesn't matter. Goes to this. You could use this or any other temp meter. So this is just a magnet meter that I made. Stick that on there, and this shows the temperature of the casing where that bearing is. So that serves two purposes. One, that gives me an oil temperature, because the oil from the engine actually dumps right here. That's where it goes back into the case. Oh, that was something else. People got so much information to try and get out in one video. A lot of people were saying that they thought the bearing was failing due to an oil pressure issue, or not a pressure issue, but a flow issue. So I figured I would prove that wrong very easily by leaving the cover off and starting the engine. So here's that little clip. So as you can see from that little clip there, I'm pretty sure the oil from that amount of oil flow on that bearing at idle is perfectly fine. Because obviously if you rev the engine, it's just going to flow even more oil. And so I don't see that being a problem. So yeah, this goes literally right to the outer race of that bearing. So if it ever does spin or do anything weird, this temperature is going to skyrocket pretty quick. And like I said, it also doubles as an engine oil temperature sensor because it's way back here. Or you could just call it an engine temp sensor. But it basically is sensing the end of the cycle. It's not testing like a hot spot. It's just general engine temperature. So that works on both my bikes. Anyway, guys, I think that's it. We've gone over pretty much everything. I did do a lot of other minor work to it. I rebuilt all 3 calipers, like literally took them apart, pulled the pistons out, rebuilt all 3 brake calipers. Didn't bother replacing the pads because they're all at like 70% or more, so it's just like whatever, they're perfectly fine. I did clean the pads. I can show pictures of that, and the calipers. So I did all that so that basically everything was new. I checked the wheel bearings, the neck bearings, they're all good. Swing arm bearings are good. Like, I checked everything I could while I had the bike apart, right? So as far as I'm concerned, it's basically brand new at this point. There's no loose parts, the brakes feel brand new, the wheel bearings, like everything just feels nice and tight like it should. We got brand new oil in the forks because I had to put new seals in it. So we got brand new fork seals, both sides, brand new fork oil, like everything. Brand new diff fluid. So like I said, it's basically, like, it's essentially brand new again. Every fluid in it's been changed, oh, except for the coolant. I did not change the coolant. I probably will if it survives this season. Yeah, I think I'll do that. If it survives the season, then I'll start putting more money into it because I want to get crash bars and stuff. But I want to give it a while because there's still a possibility that some of those metal chunkies could kill the engine. So if it survives for the first year, I think we can safely say it'll survive. And yeah, I think that's about it. Other than that, I mean, as long as I'm not trying to drag race it, it rides great. It handles great. I've done 200 clicks on it now. You can see I haven't taken the tires right to the edge, but I've been over on it pretty good. And I have yet to scrape peg on it. So I mean, there's still some tire left, but I've had her leaning pretty good and still didn't manage to touch these. So I'm actually impressed with the lean angle of this thing, considering how low and heavy it is and everything. I thought for sure within like the first couple corners I was going to be scraping peg, but nope. So feel free to ask any questions if I missed anything in the comments, but I think that's it. So like I said, it's basically brand new other than the coolant. And as long as that's cooling the engine, I mean, does it really matter? But like I said, I probably will change that at some point, because for all I know, that could be 20-year-old coolant. But that's it. So far, I'm loving the mean streak. The power is a little lackluster, but everything else I like. It rides good, the sound is nice, it's comfortable, it stops good, it turns good. The suspension is a little on the stiff side, especially the front, which unfortunately I don't think I can do anything about. But apart from that, I'm loving this thing. And I do like the forward controls. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to convert or not, because all my bikes are mid controls, like all of them. Even though it's technically forward of the seat, right? It's still a mid control technically. These are technically forward controls. So I'll try and get some riding video for you guys. I don't know if that'll happen soon. I need to upgrade my motovlog setup so that it's not just wind noise all the time. I'm not sure if I can just buy a separate mic and get away with that, or if I need to upgrade the whole GoPro setup. We'll see. But for now I can't really do all that much riding or video while riding, because it's all just wind noise. Anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed, and yeah, I'm gonna go ride this thing.